Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Presented by Pipe Wrench, and by Junk Be Gone, and by the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Sports Source in the Junk Be Gone studio. The Volunteers finally snapped the streak against Florida. 38-33 yesterday. They knock off the Gators for the first time in 6 years. They'd lost 5 in a row. The second time in 18 years. They'd lost 16 out of 17 for those that can't do math. We are going to have a party for you today. Whenever Tennessee pulls a big upset or knocks off a rival like this, we understand that you're still in party mode. We'll do that. We might even have a little champagne over here. We got 3 VFLs who all have SEC championship rings to boast about. They'll be here to discuss the game. We'll also look at the ups and downs from yesterday's game, including the defense, Josh Heupel's decision-making in the last quarter. We got a lot to cover, so why don't we get into it? First segment of our program brought to you by Junk Be Gone. When I needed the old Sports Source set broken down and hauled away, I called the team at Junk Be Gone. Family owned right down to the logo design, this great local company can help you at home or at your office, just like they have me. Check out junkbegone.biz to learn more. All right, let's welcome in the first wave of panelists. We have right over here Jimmy Himes from 99.1 The Sports Animal. We have next to him VFL Mike Stoll. Good to have you back with us, sir.
Always glad to be here, especially on a win. Sorry.
Yeah, especially after a Florida win, yeah. Right here, we got Josh Ward, also from 99.1 The Sports Animal. Thank you. And right there, Bob Hodge, longtime sports writer, longtime member of this panel. And we also, courtesy of Super Bowl fan Bob Petroni, I said last week we may have champagne. We break that out it's mainly for these guys and some of us on set. I won't name Chuck. But we break out the champagne. Bob Petroni donated these. He said, hey, if they lose, just take it as an anniversary gift. So, Bob, thank you. And congratulations, Vol fans. That was a heck of a performance yesterday. We'll get into it, I'm sure, at this first segment, but what a day for the crowd. That was one where crowd noise made a difference. Yes. They showed up, it made a difference. But let's start with the victory itself and the turning point, because to me, Bob, you and I were talking, I was talking with other friends, everybody, I thought, kind of saw the same coaching decision that was a turning point in that ball game. Mike, I want to know if you saw the same thing we did. Did you have a turning point in that game?
Well, because they had the victory, and it is the easy decision, but that the score right before the half, that changed everything, the momentum, specifically the third down when they called the timeout Florida did. It's like, all right, let's regroup, because when I was watching it, I was like, okay, they're going to try and go to tempo. They didn't. They were kind of content, let's get out of our end zone a little bit and see what happens. And then he goes out and they call timeout. It's like, okay, well, let's regroup on this. It's 3rd and long. We convert it. We keep moving down the field. We get the score. That flipped everything, because you now go in at halftime with the lead knowing I got the ball back. Mm-hmm. They really haven't stopped us yet. We've stopped ourselves a little bit. That's the turning point.
Yeah, and it allowed you to get that early score in the second half, less than 3 minutes. Now, all of a sudden, for the rest of that game, even though they're passing up and down on you, that is not how they want to play the game. You've got them playing from behind. I thought Napier's decision there was very Les Miles. I thought he made a lot of Les Miles decisions yesterday, but to give Tennessee that opportunity to move it down the field, I agree with you. I thought it was the turning point of the game. Gentlemen?
I really think a lot of coaches would have done that, though. You've got Tennessee in 3rd and long. They're going to punt from pretty deep back in their end, so you're going to get fairly decent field position, a chance to probably get into field goal range. And the fact that I saw another team that I cheer for do that just 6 days earlier, I thought, yeah, maybe not the best, but I kind of could see why Napier did it. I wouldn't have done it, because I think what Mike said is correct. Tennessee was just, let's get out of here and let's go to halftime. But I can see why he made the decision.
I can too. I wouldn't have made it against this offense. Yeah, I would have taken into consideration who I'm playing against. If you're playing somebody with a regular offense, fine. This is a big play offense. So that's where I would have said, why not let's not dare them to take a shot here, because Hooker made the great play on 3rd down to avoid the rush and complete it over the middle. Then they came right back with that beautiful bomb to Ramel Keaton with the layout catch. Jimmy, Josh, your thoughts on, was that the turning point?
Absolutely the turning point of the game, because you're down and you're going to get the ball at the start of the second half. But what Tennessee was able to turn that into was Tennessee controlling the game, Florida having to play catch up. And by the way, credit to the Gators, they continued to catch up, but they couldn't afford any mistakes. So a fumble late in the game, they couldn't overcome that. Again, did their best to, but Tennessee took advantage. I think part of it, though, is Napier's so affected by Hendon Hooker in Tennessee's offense. I think from the very start, that first drive, he thought, we have to try to get as many points as we can, but he should have waited until fourth down if they got to stop and then see if he could get the ball there. Calling the timeout on third down helped Tennessee probably come up with a play to try to get the first down, and then Tennessee was able to strike.
I just thought he did that kind of stuff. He got a lot of the fourth down conversions. They worked. Congratulations. I still don't know that they were all great decisions, but then going for two early when he did, and then he forced himself to have to do it. I was not impressed
That
with
was a dumb decision.
Yeah, I was not impressed with Napier. Jimmy, your thoughts on that that point of the game where they flipped it in Tennessee? Give Tennessee credit. We're talking about the decision.
Right.
99-yard drive.
Yeah.
Pretty doggone big.
Well, it was. And Josh and I were sitting next to each other thinking, why are you calling the timeout with a minute 33? See if they can convert the 3rd and 9, and then if you need to call a timeout, or maybe they throw an incomplete pass. But I thought that was huge. Jabari Small even said it changed the game. It gave Tennessee the momentum. Heupel's undefeated with a halftime lead, and that's continued because he got the halftime lead. Then to bump it to 10 points at the start of the 3rd quarter when you drove down the field and scored, that was huge too. So I thought it was a big play in the game that, and by the way, Tennessee, it took them after the Keaton play, it took them like 7 more plays to get in the end zone, but they did, and I thought that was a huge turning point.
Heupel took some heat for his handling of the clock there late. They get the ball back, they're up 11, there's 4:48 to go. They run it 6 times. They finally throw the ball on 4th, and I guess it was 3. They don't pick up the first down. They burned 3 minutes and a half. You left Florida with an 11-point deficit and 70 yards to go. I see the logic of trying to run it down there, but we asked this question last year. Heupel continues to say, we've got a 4-minute offense. I've yet to see it where it's successful.
Yeah.
I've yet to see it be successful. He was successful in milking a lot of clock, but what were your thoughts on his decision to eat it there, Jimmy? Part of it for you, I know, comes down to what kind of run plays are you calling?
Yeah, they were a little conservative, but it does come down to the run plays. If you're just going to try to hammer it up the middle, I'm not a big fan of that. Run an option, get on the edge, run Hooker on a quarterback sweep. Yeah. It's okay to run it. I know you don't want to risk an incomplete pass, right, because you stop the clock. So I get that. But I think you can be creative in the run game, and I don't think they were. And I thought that limited their ability to convert.
Yeah, I think the other thing, too, is the system is based on 4 wides. And you see guys outside the number, so that empties the box. Mm-hmm. His 4-minute offense brings people inside. So now you have more people inside to have to account for and to block for. So now those gashing and those holes, the room's not there. I say stay with your 4 wides. You know, don't bring your tight end, and do run the option. Get out, make those guys, because you still got to spread out and account for it. And if they don't honor it, then you throw the ball.
And when you pull them all in, you still don't have a dominating offensive
You
line.
don't. You have an offensive line. You have an
spreading.
offensive line that knows how to position block, not drive block.
I've almost come to the conclusion I would rather see Tennessee just go ahead and run its offense.
Yeah.
One, Florida hadn't stopped it consistently anyway. They never had to punt. So why not go ahead and do what your strength is? Your strength doesn't seem to be running out the clock. And I agree with you. Why do you change your formation that invites guys? It's like when somebody's down at the goal line and they bring in 17 tight ends. All you do is bring everybody for the defense right there where you're trying to run it. And so I think from here on out, just go ahead and try to score another touchdown. Because another touchdown is just as good as running the clock down.
I want to get one more thing in that I mentioned quickly, and Josh or Bob, whoever wants to take it. I mentioned it earlier, the crowd. Not only did they show up and checker Neyland, but you could tell some guys are in the press box, some guys are in the stadium. I watched it on the big screen at home, so somebody's got a clear shot of the replay. You could tell there were times where Florida was discombobulated. They couldn't get combobulated.
Yeah.
So you got to credit the Vol.
It discombobulated me, and I'm sitting in the stands. Mike can attest this, Jimmy. I don't know if I've ever heard that crowd that loud. And it was that loud at the start. Quieted down a little bit after Florida went down, scored, got the lead. But it came back. And the other thing that was impressive, they never left. People didn't
Stayed
leave.
to the end.
They wanted to
Tennessee's
celebrate there,
fans
yeah.
are really bad for, hey, third quarter, I'm going to get it, the heck out of here.
No, they wanted to
So-
celebrate.
Yeah, they wanted to
Yeah.
celebrate in the end.
It was interesting. Tim Irwin also, he made this comment. He said that when the crowd noise is like that, he said it's harder to run block than it is pass protect because you're not getting off the line of scrimmage to drive somebody. And he thinks that had an impact on Florida's run game.
Interesting. Josh, I'll let you finish up.
Yeah, I think
Anything.
from start to finish, the morning and game day was here. Of course, so you saw people that were camping out Thursday, Friday to get ready for it. Leading up to the game, everything felt like what you remember Tennessee football feeling like, and then everything inside the stadium backed that up too.
And credit to somebody we're going to bring out in the next segment for helping to rile up and keep that stadium fired up yesterday. Sterling Hinton did a nice job, as always, kind of as the maestro in there in the stadium. Let's show you what's coming up later in the show. We got much more to come. First of all, is this offense, the offense alone, title worthy? Is it good enough to win the SEC? Then we'll talk about the defense. Is that the team's Achilles heel? Next is Tennessee's program ahead of Florida's program now in big picture moving forward. The Vols face a stern October test. Call it an October of opportunity. Then you got the Cavaliers line for LSU. Much, much more. We got more VFLs coming up with us. Come on back on the Sports Source.